Breaking today, Prince Harry's biographer Angela Levin has said the Duke of Sussex is no longer a respectable or suitable member of the royal family after he went missing in Africa for 3 days with his so-called African mom, TJ Evans. Now, the mainstream media are ignoring this astonishing story as they continue a propaganda campaign.
Prince Harry's solo trip to Africa was supposed to be a moment of purpose and dignity, but instead, it sparked fresh controversy. According to reports, the Duke's sudden disappearance from the spotlight during the visit wasn't just about charity work.
To try and bring Harry back into the royal fold. Indeed, the Daily Telegraph today even running new commentary trying to pressure King Charles and Prince William into taking Prince Harry back. This is now in the Daily Telegraph, the pro-monarchy newspaper of the United Kingdom. This is a mainstream media plot, mark my words, and William must resist because I fear that the king won't. But this off-grid story is completely bizarre. You'll remember Charlotte Griffiths, who is the new propagandist for Harry, the new Omid Scobie, went public with this at the weekend, but it was buried within other stories which she considered more significant. However, to me, the fact that this dude is so troubled that he went off-grid, was uncontactable for over 3 days in Botswana, had no contact with his wife, no contact with his children, blew off any security concerns, shows just what a terrible state he is in. Of course, it comes so soon after that shocking picture emerged in London of Harry almost looking as if he was hunting drugs or something on a random street. So there is now a pattern of very troubled behaviour, and Angela Levin says the royal family must not forgive Prince Harry. She says that if they do forgive Prince Harry and Meghan have won and will then use and attack the royal family at every opportunity. Angela joins me now. Angela, you say after this disappearance act in Africa, Harry is no longer a suitable or respectable Prince of England.
Well, he's not suitable adult, is he? He's not a suitable father. I don't know what he's like as a husband, and that's not so important. But, he can't have it both ways. I mean, he's just in a ridiculous position. What I think is that he was in a panic after everything when Netflix were going to shut down what was going on with them. He was a panic. I'm sure Meghan was screaming at him because it was just shocking. So he went off. He had to go away. He had to find something where he could feel a bit better. And so he went to, I think it's Botswana, and he talked to this woman, Tanya, and her husband. And he's had a very, very close relationship with them since he was a teenager. He used to go there with Chelsea Davy. And actually, I think maybe she helped him to know what he should do at the end of their long relationship when it wasn't going to go anywhere. And she didn't want to be part of a royal where she, wouldn't be quiet and left alone. And he loved her very much, but he didn't know what to do. And I think maybe if he was asking some help about Chelsea a long time ago, he might say, what do I do about Meghan? What shall I do? That's a sort of feeling I've got. I might be wrong, but I think that he trusted her and he need help. Who would he go for help? I mean, he couldn't go to his brother. He couldn't go to his sister-in-law, not his father. I mean, he hasn't got so many friends now. And so he doesn't know what to do. So I think he went there, and I think he was in such a state that he couldn't do anything else, right? And although it doesn't absolutely help him in his career as a royal or was a royal, but I just think that he was just falling to pieces, and he has to actually try and talk to somebody who understood him and then come back and get on with it. But you can't I mean, little children don't understand about parents going away for a long time. But to leave Meghan, much as I dislike her, I think it is very concerning. And she panics. We've seen her panic. Remember when the Queen died and she was with William and sort of going round with all the looking at the flowers, and she didn't know what to do. She was flapping and she was all over the place. I think she's very, very narrow. Her skin is very, very narrow. That's why she could never go into politics, because she can't bear anyone criticizing her. She goes berserk. And I think that this is very much her. And the way she hangs on to Harry, I think part of it is that she wants to be with him, but other part is if she's scared if he goes into another part of wherever they are, and then she's left in the middle, because she hasn't got used to being a royal at all, has she? She hasn't made the attempt, and she can't do it. You know, that to be the sort of way of talking, it's got to be about me. We saw these terrible podcasts. It's such a mistake for her, because she was pouring out all sorts of shocking rubbish, and it was all about her. And I think that she's really, really scared about these things. And so he couldn't take it anymore. That's my decision.
I think you're absolutely right, Angela.
Thank
But
you.
why is the mainstream media so determined to ignore this and instead focusing on rubbish like this from the Daily Telegraph, Angela? I mean, this has absolutely infuriated people today. Eleanor Mills saying the King and Prince should embrace the Duke of Sussex's peace offering before it's too late. That is what family, royal or not, is about. And it's like, this is incessant now, this incessant mainstream media pressure. And I say shame on the Daily Telegraph, actually, for joining in, because I've always viewed the Daily Telegraph as the most pro-monarchy newspaper in the United Kingdom.
Dignified.
Yes, dignified, exactly. They serialised your book, I believe, on Queen Camilla, and they did so very respectfully. They're certainly not jumping on this bandwagon like the Daily Mail. But remember, the Telegraph, Angela, is considered the newspaper that the royals read. Certainly it was the newspaper the late Queen Elizabeth II read first every morning. And how is this going to go down, this pressure? Why should they reconcile? I mean, I'm just very disappointed in the mainstream media all the time. But I think for the Daily Telegraph to jump on this bandwagon is just atrocious.
I'm very worried about it, because I think I can't understand why people can't analyze that if somebody wants to come back and be, working with you and being with you, okay, you put that aside. But if they do nothing to help them do that, they are threatening things, they criticize you, they can't be trusted, they will sell anything you say onto somebody because it will give them money, and you don't even want to be in the country or anywhere they are. They just want money. Now, how can you trust this person? I can't understand it. They're not making any effort. If they said, look, I am so sorry about what I've said about you, but not, they come up with another phrase in a sentence which is hideous to hear. There's no attempt to be not the old Harry that he was, but to be a decent human being. I can't see it. And now we know that he could have his working on his Spare Two book. Oh, that's very nice to know that. So he's going to tumble in with loads and loads and loads of tiny things that he's furious about, like not enough sausages when someone else has had them, or, being pushed over.
Insiders allege it followed an explosive row with Meghan Markle, one so heated it left Harry panicked and isolated. Observers noted that Harry seemed to vanish from public view for a stretch of his Africa visit. No press coverage, no high-profile appearances, just silence. Now whispers suggest this wasn't by accident, but by choice. Some claim Harry needed space after a furious clash with Meghan back in Montecito, with sources describing her as screaming at him over his priorities and their crumbling public image. Meghan reportedly felt sidelined, left out of a trip that could have boosted her own brand. For her, Harry being in Africa alone highlighted the widening gap in their approaches.
But I think he could be so vile after the king has allowed him to come back. This would come out, long time, in several months. Not he hasn't even written much about it, but he is interested in it, and he could earn loads of money, £40 million advance. Let's tell you, and he's going to absolutely make tear them to pieces again. So that's his thank you for going back. I cannot believe that a man who says that or passes it round and somebody says it on his behalf can do that and accept the same thing that anyone's accept, that he should go in and carry on as if nothing happened. No. And if he did, if he went back and stayed for a little while, do you think he would do what the king told him to do, or William told him to, if he would speak to him, which I doubt it? If you say, would you go to this charity? Would you come this evening for this meeting? He's not going to do it anybody else's way but his own, because he's been away too long and he's become very sort of spiteful, and I'm the great person and don't do anything I don't want you to do. And I think that they can't let him do that. He's not going to be kind. He's not going to be nice. He's going to be rude. As for the Queen Camilla, he's going to not be kind to her because he calls her, disaster and dangerous and all those things. And I think that King Charles is was very, very upset about that. I know that. But actually, to still leave that lingering, and actually that he went away to when it was Camilla's birthday in Angora. He went to Angora.
Oh, Angola,
And
yes.
yeah, he
For
went
the
to Angora.
landmines.
And the landmines, thank you. He went to and the landmines, and it came out the same time as it was Camilla's 78th birthday. So he got the pictures on the front of the papers and she didn't. She couldn't have cared less, actually. That's not something that is important to her at all. But I think the public would have said, look, what is this trash doing on the front? I mean, what about this amazing woman who has really helped her husband do well and comforted him and is very important?
And then, Angela, we get the Charlotte Griffiths peace offering. And Charlotte Griffiths at the Mail on Sunday is now basically working full time to try and make this reunion happen via the Mail on Sunday, putting absolute pressure on the king. And the latest, Angela, that we got over the weekend was the fact that Harry had offered this massive olive branch, which means that he will now share his official diary, not with Kensington Palace and Prince William, but with the king and Buckingham Palace. But you say this isn't good enough. You say that actually this is terrible, that he is now insinuating that he's in some way almost more important than the king.
Yeah.
And you also have a very clear message to the royal family, which is do not trust Harry because he's going to give everything to Meghan Markle, and you believe that she is still trying to destroy the monarchy. Explain.
Yeah, absolutely. But, give away his diary. What's he doing? There's hardly anything on any page. It's just a superior action that means nothing. He's not, if he was within the royal family, he would have a special diary where he writes down what's going on. He's not. He hasn't been for 5 years. So how dare he say to the king, I can't come then, and I can't come now, and I can't come next week. And you'll have to make sure that you can change things around so you come on, 9 o'clock at so and so. Absolutely, how dare he? But it's nothing. But he doesn't want his brother, and he doesn't want his sister-in-law, and I think that's awful. That's terrible. He thinks he wants to go back and get in, but he doesn't want them in when they're discussing anything, nor does he want the Queen in while they're discussing anything. Who does he think he is now? He's not. He's not royal. He can't make the rules. He can't say that to his father. Here's my diary. My aide will sort it out with you. Absolutely not. I can't bear it. I absolutely can't bear it. I'm very fond of the king. I think he does his absolute best, and the others. And I just think he's just sunk to nothing. And of course, Meghan is there. She's right there. And I can't believe if they stay together still, and we don't know that, that she won't actually have to know everything that's going on. And she will control him. And he does listen to that. You know, she's like, you know, a machine that's telling you which way to go and you drive, you know, not this way, that way. And he will listen. And I think that she's out to destroy the royal family. She has been right from the first time she actually met the Queen. She was extremely rude. And she wouldn't even tell her anything about her wedding dress. Nothing. Who would do that to their mother-in-law, to the Queen of England? And, you know, absolutely the most popular woman in the world. How could she do that? But she's never liked her, and her curtsy, which she did as well, which was disgusting. But if she starts telling Harry how to behave, that they've won, they will then go ballistic, because that means they can do anything they want. They can refuse to do things. They can make more and more demands about money, because that's what they want, really. And they will just go on and on and on with a man who is suffering from cancer, with a woman who's nearly 80, with, you know, all that doesn't count for a second, because it's all about them and what they want. And if they're let loose, they will absolutely pull the royal family and everybody around them down. I don't want that.
No,
So that's why
indeed.
I'm
I don't
going
want
on.
that either. Well, I don't want that either. But look, according to Charlotte Griffiths from the Mail on Sunday, Harry actually wants a meeting with the King in September. Watch this, Angela, on GB News, and I'll get you to respond off the back.
Stuff deliberately, Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, I think
you see it all the time.
do.
You see Catherine doing something nice for the charity, and then Meghan will release some picture of her and Lilibet, you know, on Instagram, completely over. It happens all the time, and it's not by chance at all. So basically, Harry is saying that I'll stop being a bugger and play ball.
Yeah, basically. And on the William thing, he's not going to give the grid, it's called, directly to William, but he's giving it to the King, to Buckingham Palace, to the King's aides, and then they are going to pass it down to William.
It always makes me laugh, Charlotte, how we talked last week or 2 weeks ago about how there was talks between the aides of King Charles and his son Harry. It always makes me laugh how you've got this family, you've got the father, you've got a couple of brothers and whatever else. You always have to go through the aides and the schedulers and the diarists and stuff, just like your family members. Just pick up the phone and say, hey, I'll give you my diary if you want. Let's share it on the iPhone or something.
Yeah, that would involve a conversation between Harry and his father doesn't trust his son enough to have a direct conversation.
So if that's the case, so if the King can't even trust his own son to have a conversation, how on earth and how the hell are they going to be reconciling?
Well, they're building up to that. They are building up to that. At the moment, the security issue is still up in the air, and that's the big thing that Charles can't talk to his son about. He's worried that if he just picks up the phone and has a little chat, Harry will start going, and what about my security? And that's actually, you know, it's got legal implications.
Sure.
So, but that's why I'm told it's a glacial pace that they're building up to actually seeing each other face to face. Glacial. Because, you know, Harry's hoping for September. He's coming over to the UK in September. He's hoping to meet his dad there, but there's no chance. They need more time, and that's classic Buckingham Palace. They move so slowly, and as you say, everything's so formal, it has to go through aides. So I think they'll probably meet maybe by Christmas, more likely next year.
Will Meghan be there?
No.
No. Is that one of the conditions, you think? Meghan stays away?
I don't know if it's a condition... I think it's an implicit condition, not an explicit condition.
Harry clings to causes tied to his past, while Meghan focuses on her Hollywood reinvention. Critics say this disconnect is tearing at the fabric of their marriage. One insider put it bluntly, when Harry steps into the spotlight without Meghan, she doesn't see success, she sees betrayal. So why the word panicked? Because Harry's retreat wasn't seen as calm reflection, it looked like avoidance. Royal commentators argue Harry is torn, desperate to keep Meghan happy, yet equally desperate to maintain his identity beyond her orbit. The alleged screaming match left him rattled enough to seek refuge in Africa, but instead of escaping the noise, it only fueled speculation that Harry is losing control of his own narrative. While Harry hides from conflict, William embraces his growing role as the steady future king.
But again, Angela, this is just like a drumbeat of pressure on Charles, who has made it very, very clear he does not want to meet with Harry in September.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons is that Harry's coming for 3 days to promote Well Child. This is a charity for very, very ill children, and he's a patron of that. And he comes over every year for that to give a prize. He's lovely with the children, that works very well. He's very careful and nice with children who are ill there, and it's all fine. Meghan didn't know what to do. She was just sort of half smiling and feeling very stiff because I don't think she actually wanted to handle or get too close to children who were desperately ill. I don't blame her for that. That's fine. But the king will still be at Balmoral because they come back from their holiday in October. Meanwhile, he's coming over once a week to have tests for his cancer. Right. So you don't think he wants, when he comes over here, it's quite nerve-wracking, however calm he is. And you don't then want to risk having a riotous discussion with your son after you've seen the doctor. And if you do it before the doctor, it might absolutely make a mess of what you're having less. You have to be quiet, you have to be calm. So what's happened is they miss out all the detail and just come in with a generalization that comes out with something completely different. Of course he won't see his father. It's got nothing to do with anything else, but he's not well and he can't keep up going and down going and everything else and not actually feel that he's stressed. He's supposed to be on holiday.
Angela, I want to talk about the Netflix deal because quite predictably we've had a whole load of spin also coming via Charlotte Griffiths. So you can see why I'm calling her the new Omid Scobie, which is like, oh no, of course Netflix want to do a new deal, even though everyone, including People magazine, confirmed last week the deal was off. But this is how Royal News Network has viewed the situation, Angela. They write, we finally have some attempt at damage control from Meghan's team, but it's a bit too late. Even if Meghan is renegotiating for herself, in no way will she get the same sort of deal. A first look deal is the most viable option, which is for a much smaller amount of money. Also, Netflix did give her capital for her as ever, but it's clear they're not engaged with it at all. Netflix has put zero effort behind supporting it. This was just an experiment that they didn't care whether it succeeded or failed. As if they did care, they would fire Meghan and put in a team of professionals instead of leaning on her pathetic leadership and management. Her offerings are meagre at best and fail to break even or cultivate an audience. But Netflix, as ever, is hoping to cash in on the divorce. That's the only way the couple can make the big bucks at this point. And Nancy Sidley, she had a very similar take. Angela, she said Netflix is just trying to get first dibs on the post-divorce show. Something is coming. Do you agree, Angela?
Oh, yes, 100%. I think that if Harry splits from Meghan, she will do something. And if he has a huge round splits with her, he might do something in his book. So we've got this where they're probably itching to go along and tell all these stories, most of them lies. What I feel about it, doesn't worry me at all, is that we know that Meghan lies such a lot. I mean, she's destroyed her reputation. She's unliked by most people now. And I don't think people will absolutely, they might want to buy it. She might make some money, but they don't believe most of what she says because it's all poor me. She said lots of things where, it's me, me, me. Even her mother couldn't stand that anymore. She had to go off and go back to her home because she's just full of...
Doria's like, hell no, I can't be around this. And honestly, Angela, just to prove, right, that Meghan has always lied about Netflix, do you remember what happened when she was on the red carpet with Variety a couple of years ago and promised that there was so much more coming, we just had to be patient? Watch this.
Well, that's what you're doing now. You have now come into Hollywood in a producerial capacity. What is inspiring you? And as you're kind of looking to make these new projects, what is the thing that is, driving the work that you're going to put out into the business?
Things that make people feel... I was going to say good, but it's more than that. Things that make people feel something, right? And feel a sense of community, but we have so many exciting things on the slate. I can't wait until we can announce them, but I'm just really proud of what we're creating. My husband is loving it too. It's really fun.
We're here anytime you want to make those announcements.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
We'll
We'll get in touch then. Yeah.
We're thrilled to have you here as one of our honorees, our alumni. So nice to see you.
It's great to be here.
Thank you so much.
So many exciting things on the slate, Angela Levin. Well, where are they then, Meghan?
Yeah, yes. Well, there was jam, and there was rosé. That's actually that doesn't bother me, because I think if you're in that sort of situation, you have to talk nonsense, don't you? Someone says, "Oh, I'm so pleased to see you. What have you got?"
No, you do.
You don't say nothing.
No,
do you?
and you
Don't
have
say-
to pretend. But then what was interesting, Angela, is she had changed tack. So then, do you remember in that Emma Grede podcast, there's sort of a moment, and I'll play her. It's very, very short, but there's sort of a moment where she bristles at Emma Grede, who asks her a question about how she's going to promote this stuff. And she basically says, I'm not comfortable answering that, as in, you've just crossed a line. It's a very, very bizarre exchange. Watch.
You have a business, you need to go out and promote it. You need to go and do, whatever it is that you might need to do. Speak to the media, turn up at a retailer convention, like whatever it might be.
You set boundaries of where you're comfortable, and it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, I'm not comfortable answering that.
You see,
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
so she'd gone from being very open to very, very closed off. You don't ask me that, okay? Because she doesn't like the answer. She can't give the answer that she wants anymore because she knows it's falling apart.
Yeah, but that discussion between those two women were unbelievable, actually, because she let all sorts of horrible, nasty things pour out from her as she was talking. I mean, it was just pathetic that she couldn't hold that in, because I don't know, most people wouldn't have wanted to hear all that, but it was very, very interesting indeed. The people who did want to know a bit more what she was really like. And that's what I mean by that. She's nervous. She gets very, and she doesn't know quite what she's saying. The sound takes over and she's just there. And I think that shows you that she's not prepared for anything sophisticated in that sort of way. She messes it up and she absolutely spills things about herself that she shouldn't do, and nobody's really very interested in.
And the contrast is striking. One brother, calm and resolute, leading alongside Catherine. The other, allegedly fleeing to Africa to escape a shouting match at home. For critics, this moment symbolizes why Harry's reputation continues to crumble, because every trip, every project, every disappearance is overshadowed by chaos and scandal. In the end, Harry's Africa visit was meant to highlight causes close to his heart. Instead, it's become the backdrop for yet another narrative of royal dysfunction, one where a screaming Meghan, a panicked Harry, and a growing marital rift take center stage. The question now is simple. How long can Harry keep running before the truth of his marriage and his public role finally catches up to him?